words do not even describe when you walk in and you find that the ballistic vest worked. He's not hurt really, he's got a bruise and he's walking out the door after a confrontation like that.
I do not know you, but I am your brother.
You do not know me, but I am your protector.
I will run into a burning building to save your life.
Though I do not know your name, I will take a bullet for you.
Though we've never met,
I believe in duty and sacrifice
of self.
Your family is my family.
Is my family. Your life is my duty.
What's going on, guys? Time for a special on-the-road episode of Behind the Uniforms. We are here at Sharpshooter USA in Roswell, Georgia. And I've got a gentleman with me. I've got actually a whole bunch of people with me who are going to be sharing some stories. The way that this series typically works, for those of you who have never seen it before, is we invite police, veterans, first responders onto the show, active, retired, doesn't matter. We usually share a cocktail, but we're here at the range and we're going to shoot some guns after, so we're not going to be doing any drinking today. And then I ask these guys to share a high and a low, a story about a good day and a story about a bad day, just to show that the men and women who are behind the uniforms are just like you and I. So without further ado, why don't you tell them all who you are?
Sure, my name is David Shepard. I work in the metropolitan area, Atlanta area as a police officer. I've been doing so for about 28 years now.
Excellent. You want to start high, you want to start low?
I guess we'll start low. It's easier to go off of.
Tell me about a bad day.
Probably one of the worst days, being a very young patrolman. I responded to a house fire. And back then we had a volunteer fire department, and the police department often responded very quickly and ahead of the fire department. Arrived on scene with another young officer, and the house was completely engulfed. We had a lady about 3 stories up that was screaming for help, smoke billowing out of the house, and screaming that her children were still in the house. The other officer and I went around to the back of the house, kicked in the door, went inside. We did locate an adult male inside and got him out, and then he was talking about another child being inside. We low crawled. The house was literally completely on fire, into the house and found the child. And I can remember when I scooped the child up in my hands, it was just super, super soft, almost like my fingers were going to melt into the child. I took off running, and to this day I don't really remember running from the house all the way across the street into the yard across the street. And I remember setting the child down, and when I did, I guess the cold and the moisture from the ground caused him to kind of snap out of it. He sat up and kind of screamed and laid back down. Unfortunately, he did die, as well as another small child that was inside the house at the time that we didn't know was in there. He had hidden in a closet and the floor had collapsed and he had fallen. But I can still remember the ride with the mother to the hospital, knowing everything that had occurred. So that was a extremely tough day, a growing day.
Stories like this that I wish I had bourbon when we were sharing them. Tell me about a good day.
It all depends on your definition of a good day in this job. Certainly I've had a lot of fun with my friends and coworkers over the years. I was notified of a great friend of mine and an officer that worked for me of being shot in the middle of the night. And as horrific as that may be, as well as the perpetrator that was killed, words do not even describe when you walk in and you find that the ballistic vest worked. He's not hurt really, he's got a bruise and he's walking out the door after a confrontation like that. So even though it's a bad day for everything that occurred, that uncertainty being relieved and then seeing somebody that you call your brother walk out alive is just, words can't describe how that makes you feel. And that was a great day.
One of the things that we've talked about in a lot of past episodes is sort of the cumulative stress that you guys go through. How do you take situations like that first story, and even like your good day is still a pretty lousy day for most people?
Yeah, I understand.
How do you process that?
In a lot of ways. Number one, which is you take a deep breath, you sit back and you count your blessings. You have to remember a lot of times that the cause you're going on, it's not happening to you, so that allows you to be detached from it.
Sure.
So I think that you do have to exercise and work out to take yourself to a different place.
Yep.
And I think talking it out with your coworkers and friends that share those same experiences, it allows you to develop an understanding, a good sense of humor, and it's therapy, and it's a good stress relief.
Sure.
And certainly having a great, strong family, and as well as, I think, prayer. I think it's very, very important. All of that to help you get through it.
Awesome. Brother, thank you for joining us for this episode. Guys, very simple request. These stories need to be shared. You know it, I know it. It's going to take you 2 seconds to hit the damn share button. Hit that right now, and let's pay tribute to these men and women who come on the show and share their stories and open up on it. So thank you so much, man.
you.
God bless. God bless America.